I'm Luke Beard.
I'm Chris Green.
I'm Riley Gunter.
And I'm Nash Rainey.
And we are the Backups. All right, let's kick into March Madness. Let's reflect on the wild statements we had to say last episode. I'll let Riley kick off because I know he has something he wants to get off his chest.
So looking back, I will say maybe I should not have related Furman to a Mattress Firm store and that I would be sleeping on them since they lost in the first round, and I should not have taken to Twitter and made a Twitter post about Furman.
Multiple Twitter posts.
But at the end, Furman played a great ball game, although it was really Virginia led them to win because if your player's going to chuck at half court without looking, of course the other team's going to grab the ball. But I regret what I said about Furman, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you bring up the guy chucking across half court, I think and a lot of people have forgotten about that, is that they were in a position to not lose that game. It was a really strange decision by the player to do that because he ultimately threw away the game. Like that, it just doesn't seem like a smart decision to say, I don't know if anyone's down there, just chuck it and see what happens.
When you easily could have just taken foul shots and extended the lead a little bit.
Y'all are making excuses. Furman was the better team. Furman won the game. Guys are saying, Furman has no chance in this game. I'm going to sleep on them like a mattress firm. Just terrible media personalities, one on this show. And, clearly Furman had more of a toughness to them than we expected going into that game. I said I thought they could go, they could win a first-round matchup, maybe go far. They're one of my sleepers. And I think Furman proved a lot of people wrong.
Yeah. They came in and they played with a lot of moxie, and they pulled out the win because of it. And I think we saw a lot of that this tournament. I mean, Princeton, Fairleigh Dickinson. We've seen a lot of Cinderella stories going into this tournament that I didn't really see coming.
And speaking of Fairleigh Dickinson, good on Tobin Anderson. Got the Iona job after Pitino's leaving there, so good on him. He's moving up in the world of coaching. Yeah. Happy for him. Let's talk about the Final Four a little bit. I mean, what do y'all think about, what's going to go on?
I mean, I think it's a bit boring, but I really like UConn's chances. They were basically one of the top. They were one of the 6 or 7 teams that everyone was saying fit all the metrics of the winners of previous years. And they are a very solid team that I think came into this tournament a little underseeded. So my guess is that they're going to win. But I mean, the teams we have in the Final Four proven us wrong multiple times. So I just think that's most likely to happen.
Yeah, I was going to say something along those lines. UConn is what feels like the odds-on favorite to win it now. However, I don't want to go with the odds-on favorite anymore after seeing who's all in this. I mean, FAU, a 9 seed, has made it. I think Miami's going to win, personally. I've seen Miami play the most out of all these teams, so it's probably just a little biased that I've seen them play the most this season. But I'm big on Miami. I think they play they're a really complete team. They play a really complete game. But I feel like all of the teams left have a huge shot to win it.
Yeah.
So I'm not certified, cemented on Miami, but I think to me they're my favorites. And of course, we had some doubters on the show about Miami too. Nash, I know you're a huge fan of the Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah.
But this is one of the Power 5 teams in college basketball. Only one conference had a team go to the Final Four this year, and that is the ACC with Miami. Conference that people said it was a bad year for them. We were nobodies this year, and now Miami.
Even a bad year in the ACC, we can still send a team to the Final Four.
However, I do think we are still one of the weaker teams or one of the weaker conferences in college
basketball. Yes, we were this season.
No, it was. I mean, obviously Miami. I was sleeping on them. I thought Drake was going to beat them, and that was before the fact I found out Drake was a team of basketball players and not the rapper. But I mean, honestly, I knew Miami was a strong team. Obviously, I've seen them play before. But it was just the kind of thing where this is a school that doesn't really have a history of making it this far. And it wasn't, considering the competition that was in their path, I didn't really envision them going this far on a run. But I will say, I was wrong about Miami.
I mean, I also was wrong about Miami. I want to apologize because I was wrong. Y'all proved me wrong. Y'all are not frauds. But, hey, all props to y'all. I do think they will be coming out of the Final Four as well. They're a really good basketball team.
I think they're a strong team.
And a team that really surprised me was San Diego State University. A lot of people thought that College of Charleston was going to upset them like Luke. But even I said at the last show that San Diego State had one of the best three-point defenses in the country, and they've proven that thus far through the tournament. And FAU, where did they come from this tournament? Like, I never would have expected them to be in the
No,
Final Four at
especially
all.
I really didn't think they were going to win their first game against Memphis, and then they get that last second layup, and Penny Hardaway throws his water bottle about 50 feet into the stands, and you see that's a huge upset. Memphis, who had just won their conference tournament, losing to a team like FAU. Everyone's like, okay, they'll probably make it out of the next round because they were playing a 16 seed, who also almost beat FAU in that game. But FAU's played a lot of close games, and they've come out by the skin of their teeth. So I think they're a team that can really compete to the end of the game. They'll keep it close with anybody, and they could win this whole thing.
Yeah.
And San Diego State, you talk about their three-point defense. I think their defense as a whole, they're just a really impressive overall team. Everything about San Diego State, they click on all cylinders. You just see what people say about them. They're really doing everything the right way. Like, I guess just what works for them has been working all season. There's a reason they're in the tournament as 5 seed, and it's been working throughout the tournament. So they've been very good.
Yeah, I think, especially in San Diego State's case, it really just goes to show how really pivotal a good defense can be, especially when you're down, because I think with a lot of modern basketballs, there's a lot of emphasis on scoring and moving the ball around and stuff like this. So when you have a team that when you as a team have a defense that can keep you in those games, I think it really helps out, especially when you're playing really tough competition, because if you can stay within a few points, you can win the game. I think that's what we saw through FAU. They weren't dominating in these wins, but they kept it close. They played well, and when they really needed to make the good shots, they did. So it really just, that side of the bracket shows how good a good defense can help.
And I feel like all the teams that are left, they don't take dumb shots. They have all taken really good looks to me. Like, a lot of the shots they take are really good looks. They pass the ball well. They can move it around. They can just kind of choke you up on defense. They do everything well. So I think all of these teams have their own strengths and their own weaknesses, but I think all of these teams are still really strong.
In terms of shooting, I believe Miami shot over 60% from the floor against Texas, which Texas, an insane team who I thought was my tournament favorite. But Miami's just, they're that team, I think, going into this game against UConn.
Yeah, and I think this Final Four is the epitome of how great this tourney was, of March Madness as a whole. That, the highest seed is, I think, a 4 seed from UConn. We've seen so many upsets. We've seen so much good basketball being played, and I think this Final Four is like this key takeaway of anything can happen in March, and sometimes that aspect of anything that can happen is what makes the tournament and college basketball so great.
Especially when you compare it to last year's Final Four. Last year's Final Four was just the Blue Bloods.
Yeah.
All the Blue Bloods are in it. And now this year, it's like, who are these teams? Except for UConn, of course, has had tremendous basketball success in their programs, both women's and men's. But, just no one expects to see, Miami, FAU, and San Diego State in there with, UConn.
Yeah.
You just didn't see it coming.
No one saw that.
It's tremendous for those teams that they're given the opportunity to shine on the biggest stage of college basketball now.
It's really impressive, too, because FAU, this was their second ever NCAA tournament appearance, which is a really big thing.
They did not win a single game in their last one. I think it was 2001.
That was
Or two, one of them.
20 years ago, 20 plus, and here they come in for the second time, and they just don't lose.
Yeah.
And that I think that speaks really well to what that team has been able to do this season.
I'd agree with that. I'd want to make a quick apology to the committee. I called them terrible for not putting Clemson in. The Clemson team that followed up that quote by me with they lost to Morehead State. So I'm not going to give my take on the committee anymore because clearly there's a reason they're the committee and I'm not. They know a lot more about it than I do.
They knew something that we at the moment didn't know, but they chose perfectly, I believe. Because
Except for NC State.
Yeah, NC State, that's a
terrible.
bad pick.
NC State is still did not deserve it.
They knew something about this Clemson basketball team that we didn't know, and I think it was a good choice on them.
I mean, what have been y'all's favorite parts about the tournament? Chris, I'll let you start off.
Since we're apologizing to teams, I want to talk about a couple teams that owe me apologies, like Arizona for starters. You lost to a team that most of those players will be business owners by the time they graduate. you tricked me 2 years in a row. I had y'all winning last year and this year, and then y'all just
Never pick Arizona.
yeah, never again. They on the ban list. Purdue as well. They owe me an apology.
Yeah, I would say my personal favorite moment was Princeton winning. I just thought it was really funny. It made me laugh that these are like the smartest kids in school, and they just beat Arizona, who has consistently been one of college basketball's powerhouses. And you're losing to the Princeton Tigers. That was so funny to me to watch. I was just sitting there loving every second of it. Princeton were shooting the three ball really efficiently too. Very effective 3-point shooting team.
And again, my favorite part, I guess it's not really a part in the tournament. It's just that feeling, getting back from class, going back to the dorms and watching the games, getting all up in each other's faces over like who's winning the tournament brackets or not. By the way, out of us four, I am winning the tournament and challenge, and I will be winning the tournament
I am
challenge.
too. We're tied.
We're not tied for first.
We're both in
I
first.
checked. But that's my favorite thing, going back, watch, especially that Maryland-West Virginia game, first thing. Chris wanted West Virginia to win. I chose Maryland, and my team was successful. So it's just, I just love that feeling going back to the dorm and watching the game. Or games.
Yeah. I would say my two favorite parts, first off, FDU beating Purdue, because, that's only ever happened once before. No one ever thinks that's going to happen. That was, and not only that, but that was the game to kill what was left of the perfect brackets. There was, I think, 20 left before that, and all 20 didn't have FDU winning. And it also ties in that element is that, when we did our pre-March Madness show, I talked about how I didn't believe in Purdue, and I knew they were going to fail me. And having that come true in such a funny way made me laugh a lot. And then I would probably say my other favorite part would be FAU going this far. I've talked about how it was their second ever appearance, which is a really big thing. But also just because I love a team like the FAU Owls, because if you had told someone 2 months ago the FAU Owls are in the Final Four, they would call you literally insane.
Yeah.
And the fact that they made it this far is impressive.
Yep. Let's move on to the women's tournament. I've been watching a little bit of it. I think so far I've very much so enjoyed it. South Carolina looked like the probably biggest powerhouse in all of college basketball. Miami looked very good. Is it the Cavender twins?
Cavender twins. Yeah.
They're huge social media stars, and one of them is a starter, I know, and they both played decently well. They both got minutes. They both did what they had to do. Miami went on a good run until losing to number 3 LSU, or 3-seeded LSU. And then Ole Miss making it to the Sweet 16, beating Stanford. A lot of people did not see that coming. Stanford losing was huge. Same with UConn. UConn is already out. But to me, I think South Carolina, they might take it. But I think Iowa has it.
Because Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark, to
insane.
me, she's not the best player in women's basketball, in college women's basketball. No. Or, she's the best player in all of college sports right now. She's the most dominant player in her sport. There are not many players in any sport right now that I can see doing in their sports what she's doing in her sport. Caitlin Clark is the best player in college sports. She will go to the WNBA and be the best player there. She's going to go down as one of the greatest athletes of all time to me. She's doing unprecedented things.
I believe they played
for a
against
team like
that.
Iowa.
Their Elite Eight game was against that very good Louisville team, but she still put up 41 points against them. Like
She put a 41-point triple-double,
Yeah.
which it's never been done in March Madness by anyone, men's or women's.
And almost unheard of in college basketball.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Because college basketball, it's much more low-scoring than the professional levels. And she's incredible.
Yeah.
She is the best player in sports right now. She's been my favorite story to watch, go through the year. So
she just throws up shots and they always fall in. It's incredible to watch.
It's incredibly impressive, and to have that kind of performance in an Elite Eight game is just unheard of. And I think if any team's going to beat USC, it's got to be Iowa.
gotta be
I
Iowa.
don't see Virginia Tech or LSU doing the same thing. I think it's
I
gonna
think
be Iowa.
if South Carolina beats Iowa, they win the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if whoever comes out of that game is winning the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's just incredible to see the way both South Carolina has played all season and how Caitlin Clark specifically has played in the tournament. Anyone, Anything else to
Yeah,
add?
it's been a fantastic tournament.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to NFL news. Nash, kick us off.
Okay, so first off, probably the biggest part of recent NFL news, Lamar Jackson has demanded a trade from the Ravens. I mean, what do we think about that?
I just want to question what the Ravens have just been doing in the last year. Pay the man. Like,
I mean, personally, I'd like to see him go to the Falcons. I think he'd be a really good fit.
Yeah,
at the
that
Falcons.
looks like it's the top
Yeah,
choice
that's
right
his
now.
top
I think
choice.
they have the best odds to get Lamar. I think, as a Falcons fan, I'd love it. We just picked up Scotty Miller. He's a quick receiver. He was very good on Tampa. And, Lamar, he brings a lot to a team. Right now we have Desmond Ridder at quarterback, who he'd made improvements over last season.
Yeah.
I'll give it to him. But Lamar Jackson is
Lamar Jackson.
MVP. He's young, and he deserves, he deserves all the money that these organizations should throw at him. And the Ravens are the stingiest organization for not giving him anything.
And if he is to come to the Falcons, I have personally seen how the stadium is when the Falcons are a good football team. He would change the culture in Atlanta if he comes to the
Because it's been a very empty stadium over the past couple seasons.
I can't imagine if they draft Bijan Robinson in the draft. Both him and Lamar teaming up, that would be incredible to watch.
I'm tired with the Bijan Robinson comments.
Falcons
He's
gotta
not going
check
to the
in
Falcons.
again.
They're getting Miles Murphy.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
It's gonna be great. Yeah.
Defense going to look good. Lamar Jackson's coming. New look Falcons next season.
Yeah, I see this as more of just Lamar Jackson saying, this is getting a little ridiculous. Please give me my money. And not only do I believe that because I think it's a bit more realistic, but also because the Falcons getting Lamar Jackson would be probably the most disastrous thing to happen out of free agency. So, I really hope that this is just another step into him getting a big contract.
Yeah, he deserves it. And the Commanders, hopefully, they're looking to sell. And it's looking like there will be someone buying by the NFL draft. Whether it's Josh Harris and the Mitchell Rails group that also has Magic Johnson, who looks like he's just trying to get into every single major sport, or it's Canadian billionaire Steve, and I'm sorry I have to read this one off, Apostolopoulos, I believe. It's Apostolopoulos. They've both submitted $6 million buys for the Commanders. And Dan Snyder, it's time for him to give up that organization. It's time for someone else to take a hold of it because there's a lot of work needed to be done within that organization. So it's about time to sell.
Yeah, no, the Commanders especially are probably one of the worst organizations in terms of how they're run.
Yeah.
When you think about sports, I think Dan Snyder's, there's been so much to say in a negative light about him for the last 20 years. He's been a terrible owner, and I think this is really what the franchise needs. I think a new owner, a new culture, and just someone else in charge is probably what should happen and probably what will happen if everything goes as it is looking right now.
I didn't realize the Commanders were that bad of an organization, but once I saw the Sean Taylor Memorial, when it's just his jersey and on a mannequin, something needs to be changed with the organization.
Yeah. Bobby Wagner returned to the Seahawks, 1 year, $7 million deal. I'm not sure how much that's going to do for the organization. I hope it does good for them. I really like Bobby Wagner. I think he's a great linebacker. So that could do a lot for them. And then DJ Chark signed to the Panthers. Panthers are finally starting to bulk up on that receiving core like they needed to. As long as they can draft the right quarterback, number one, I think.
With those, they're
starting to get
building
weapons.
more
DJ Chark,
slowly,
very good receiver throughout the league. He came out of LSU, went to Jacksonville, was fantastic for Jacksonville, went to Detroit, was good for Detroit. I think he is going to probably revitalize his career a little bit with the Panthers, though. And then Ezekiel Elliott, we talked about, how he got cut right before we did the show 2 weeks ago. And his top teams now are the Eagles, Jets, and Bengals. What do y'all expect out of Zeke?
I will get this off. It's nothing like an NFC East player going to the rival team. That's like peanut butter and jelly. So, it's just the history of it.
Yeah. I believe he'll end up on the Bengals. I've just seen it more.
I think it'd be cool to see him on the.
Yeah, I don't think the Jets really need him.
Yeah,
I think they already have guys. Eagles, they could use him.
I
don't know if they need him either.
I can see him signing with the Eagles.
I could see Bijan ending up on the Eagles, though, so I'm just not sure if they're going for Zeke. I think He'd be a good fit on the Bengals, though.
Yeah.
We can get into the NBA. I feel like the MVP race, it's really a two-horse race. It's either Embiid or it's Jokic.
Yeah.
And we saw last night Jokic beat the Sixers without Embiid, put up a triple-double. And I'm not sure who's going to take it. I know Embiid's the odds-on favorite. And this would be a three-peat for Jokic. And everyone talks about voter fatigue for these voters. It's very interesting dynamic to see here, though. I believe Embiid will get it. I don't know who should get it, though. I think they're both very close to me.
I personally am leaning towards Embiid more because the past couple years it was his, and then eventually injuries caught up to him, and of course Jokic took it.
Yeah, this really feels like an Embiid season. I think he's definitely done everything to prove why he should be an MVP, and I hope it does kind of change because I don't think Jokic is such a dominant player that a three-time MVP is what he's really deserving of. I think he's very good, but that seems a bit exaggerated.
But over the past 3 regular seasons, to me, Jokic has been by far the best player in basketball. The past regular seasons, emphasize that because we're just talking about the past 3 seasons. But Giannis has been the best player in basketball. The Mavericks are collapsing. Clearly, Kyrie and Luka is exactly what we thought it was going to turn out to be, and they just don't mesh well. Their play styles just aren't great together.
Luka said it's like basketball's not fun for him anymore in one of his press conferences, that he's not enjoying as much. So did Kyrie take that away from Luka?
I don't think so. I think it's just he's not winning and he's mad about it. I'd be upset if I was.
Yeah.
Too. So I understand where he's coming from.
It also feels almost a bit part of also the coaching doesn't seem to be there, and they played the Hornets and Buzz City. When you play a team like that, when the big bad Hornets who are 14th in the East,
and are looking to sell the team.
And are looking to sell the team, yeah. That's a team that's it's going to shake any good player.
Yeah.
But I just never would have guessed this was going to happen. Only a few weeks ago, but.
Yeah, and then we see LeBron said his foot healed faster than anyone else's foot has ever healed, or something like that. LeBron James he's a super soldier.
Yeah.
He's taking great care of his body. That's why he's able to play at such a high level still. Do y'all think it's actually true that his body healed faster
No way.
than anyone?
There's absolutely no way. I mean, I get it. He's the all-time scoring leader, but no doctor is saying that about you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's
some
just
type
no way the doctor's
He had to have some type of secret juice to do something like that. No way.
Yeah.
And then John Morant making his return. The only thing I can really say about this is, it's a parade inside my city. Yeah! He's back. He's playing like John Morant. Skip Bayless obviously just quoted him, seemed very excited about it. I think this is good for the Grizzlies. They needed him back.
They need him back, yeah.
He's a great player. I hope he doesn't have these off-court issues anymore. I hope he got the help he
gets his
needed.
priorities straight and more focused.
I
think it's going to be a redemption arc for John Morant.
Yeah, because I think he's a pretty good player. And Damian Lillard has likely been shut down for the season. We've seen recently he's been talking about he don't know how much longer he's playing in the NBA because he just doesn't like what basketball's become. So it's upsetting to see he's getting shut down. He didn't want to be shut down, it seemed. I think it's time for him to move on to a new organization, and he deserves a ring.
Yeah.
I don't want him to ring chase, but I want him to go
To
somewhere.
a contender.
Yeah, and be built.
I would like to see him on a team like Philly. I think
Or even the Bucks.
Yeah,
I would love to see him with the
Yeah,
Bucks.
the Bucks or the 76ers.
It would be interesting to see how him and Drew meshed.
Yeah.
And now we have WrestleMania weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Nash has been so excited to talk about it. I'll give a quick rundown of the card. Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes for the WWE Universal title. Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Bianca Belair and Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. The Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for the tag team titles. Brock Lesnar versus Omos, the biggest match of all time. 2 giants. Seth Rollins versus social media superstar Logan Paul. Austin Theory versus greatest movie star of all time, John Cena. Quite possibly the greatest wrestler of all time. He's on that list for sure. Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus against Damage Control. Edge versus the Demon, Finn Balor. So that'll be exciting. Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre for the Intercontinental title. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Natalia and Shotzi versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville in just a match that they threw together, it feels like. Braun Strowman and Ricochet versus the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy versus the Viking Raiders. Another match it feels like they just threw together. That's an exciting one, though. And then the Mysterio versus Mysterio match, Dominic versus Rey, father versus son. I'm very excited for this card. It's shaping up to be one of the better WrestleManias in recent history. Nash, this is your first WrestleMania, and you're ecstatic for it. You've been talking about it past couple of weeks. What are you most excited for?
Now that's a very tough question because as a new fan, you know, there's a lot to learn and there's so many good matchups here and there's a lot of drama going on. If I had to pick the main one, obviously I would say there's mainly three that have really caught my attention. Obviously Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Roman Reigns, you know, he's held the championship belt for quite a while. You know, looking to break that record of who's held it the longest, and I would love to see Cody Rhodes beat him. You know, because you always like to see the good guys win one. And then another one would definitely be the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Owens. You know, I've expressed displeasure with Sami Zayn because of a video game match that did not actually happen. But I honestly do want to see the Usos lose. I would love to see the Bloodline break up because of this loss. And I think Zayn and Owens have a really strong chance.
Yeah.
And then finally, just completely out of left field, Dominic and Rey Mysterio, father versus son. Watching yesterday where Dominic is saying that he wished Rey was never his father, and they're gonna fight each other in the ring at WrestleMania. It's so dramatic, and I love it. I want to see this. I want to see Dominic win because I would love to see a bad guy win, and you know everyone loves Rey.
Might be Rey's last match.
Yeah, and that would make it the perfect cherry on top. His last match of his career, and his own son is beating him. I would love to see that. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I've been very excited for this WrestleMania.
Riley, you have anything?
I mean, just because I'm also starting to become a new fan, I'm excited. For some reason, I just like Cody Rhodes because I've mainly only seen his matches. So I think I'm excited for his match against Roman Reigns. I think it'd be a pretty interesting match, the Universal title.
Me personally, my favorite wrestler ever is coming back for WrestleMania. You cannot do WrestleMania without John Cena. I'm so excited to see him back. And of course, Mysterio versus Mysterio. It might possibly be Rey Mysterio's last match. And of course, you want to be able to witness that.
Y'all have pretty much covered everything I'd say, except for my two. I'm most excited for Edge versus Demon Finn Balor because I believe it's going to be kind of a horror kind of vibe where, you know, Edge is coming back as his vampire brood self, Demon Finn Balor, and all the makeup Hell in a Cell match will be fantastic to watch. And then we have Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre. I think that's the best match of the night. These guys, Sheamus and Gunther put on a 5-star match when they fought at a show over in the UK at Clash of Champions, I believe. And adding Drew McIntyre to the mix, these are three of the hardest-hitting, strongest guys in the entire business. And I love the way all of them, they mesh so well together. So I think that is probably going to be match of the night. Obviously, possibly Cody Rhodes, or match of the weekend, I should say. Obviously, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, huge match. This is massive. Roman Reigns was taught by Cody Rhodes' father, Dusty, and that's just massive. And then, what was the other one? Oh, of course, Brock Lesnar, almost. Just two huge dudes just banging out on each other, beating each other up. I'm so excited for that. The Homo sapien, the beast incarnate, and just colliding. All right, let's get into overtime, Chris.
Today, not too long ago, a big fight in boxing just got announced for the lightweight division. Devin Haney, Lomachenko, for the undisputed lightweight, all the belts pretty much. It's a very big fight because this is a fight that was supposed to happen 4 years ago, and it's finally happening. And like you were saying a couple weeks back about the best boxers fighting the best, it's finally happening.
Yeah. It's no, Ryan Garcia versus Tank. Ryan Garcia, the best boxer in the world.
That's a fight.
But yeah, no, Loma he's the real deal.
Yeah.
This will be a good fight. Nash, I know you want to talk about your new favorite video game.
WWE 2K23 has recently released, and I bought myself a copy, and it's been a lot of fun. I think it's really great way of introducing new fans like myself to some of the lesser known wrestlers, and it's a great way to just have really good fun. There's not many other games where you can match the excitement of an 8-man ladder match for the championship belt, and I think this game really does a lot to capture that feeling of the excitement of the WWE. And it's also just fun to make custom characters with silly names and make them fight each other. But I'm having a lot of fun with that.
Who's been your favorite guy to play as?
There's definitely been a lot. I would say some of my realer wrestlers like LA Knight and fighting against Sami Zayn's been fun. And then, Clemson University president Jim Clements has been a very favorite wrestler of
Your
mine.
custom wrestler?
Yeah, my custom wrestler.
Very well created.
And I would say probably making the university president, making fight wrestlers has probably been one of the highlights of playing that game. So probably Jim Clements and LA Knight.
Kind of your idol versus your idol there.
Yeah.
Riley?
My overtime is, so over the weekend, of course, there's the Elite Eight games and FAU and Kansas State. Humongous game. It's on TVs everywhere, but the restaurant that I was at wasn't even paying attention to it. There was the PBA Junior Bowling Championship, and I'm in bowling class, and so I'm a little bit more excited about bowling, and it was just a pleasure to watch. And I'd be making comments like, oh, what a great spare.
We were just sitting there looking at you, and we were like, what are we doing here, man?
Both matches.
This is one of the biggest games of the year, and you're watching bowling.
Both matches were just insane. Both came down to the very last frame. Just insane to watch.
I did have to glance over at the PBA Junior a couple times because I was a little interested, I can't lie. But, you were just in there really into the PBA game. We had to kind of glue you back onto FAU.
I forgot that there's an Elite Eight game on.
I want to talk about my first hockey game, Charlotte Checkers, first ever live hockey game. Lost to the Providence Bruins, sadly, in a 3-1 deficit. All goals scored in the third, which was insane to me. It was hilarious watching nothing happen the first two, and then the third comes around and just chaos. I did catch a puck that was being used in the game. It flew over directly at me. I looked up last second, ducked my head, landed directly in my lap. So I had a great time at the Charlotte Checkers game. Very much so appreciated the invite. So thank you. But it was a blast.
Yeah, no, minor league hockey is always great, especially when you have a hometown team that's close.
And on Catterday.
And on Catterday.
Yep. I think that's all we have. Thank you for watching. We hope you tune in next week, and we will see you then.